So anything we say now is being recorded and available for review. So if you have to be gone for a day, the lectures are always going to be available to be posted as YouTube videos. I'll show you where they're at. You can use it for a review for exams if you choose. Okay, so now the other thing that's a warning on it, if I step out the room, you better mumble quiet if you're going to talk about me, because it's going to be on there. So, but I want you to know that your voices are going to be recording. There's no image recorded other than what's on the smartphone, but the sound and everything that we say in the room is going to be recorded, and it picks up my voice well. It amplifies enough that it picks up most. Unless you speak really quietly, it'll pick up your voice as well if you ask a question. And that's the format that I like to teach in. Very open dialogue. We'll go over material. If you don't understand something, you don't have to wait and raise your hand. Ask a question. Okay. Our class sizes are small. This room usually has 24 in it. I put 2 extra tables in it. That's the reason we're kind of sardined in here. If there's only 26 enrolled right now, so if it stays at 26, I'll get rid of one of the tables and we'll put a gap in the middle so you can get in and out easier. But it's always going to be a small format. Because this class is going to get, with the exception of 2 people in here. So there's an opportunity for you to ask questions in class, and I encourage you to do so. So we're going to go over the course layout and go over the syllabus, which you have a hard copy of. You can go ahead and pull the back page off, and it's something you're going to sign. I want some information from you. You can start just slowly working through that. So I'm going through some things on the syllabus. There's a copy of the syllabus for you, and a couple seats in the back, and there's 2 up there in the front. So, all right. So in the syllabus, just a couple of things that I certainly want you to be aware of is that there are some prereqs in this course, and a couple of you haven't met those. Those are, you have to have a math ACT 21 or higher, or you have to be co-enrolled or completed either college algebra, algebra for the sciences, or higher math. So a couple of you that the system flags to me that you haven't done that, and I'll be in contact with you probably by email this afternoon. If you took it at a different campus and it's not transferred in, whatever it is, we can talk about it. We can figure out how to deal with it. If you still want to proceed the course and hadn't met those, we're going to do a waiver for you to do it. So the course objectives we're going to talk about next. This is a Gen Ed course at Southeastern. So it has to meet some Gen Ed guidelines. So those guidelines are what we're trying to accomplish in the course are laid out here. So there are a few things in particular we're trying to get done. Number one is give you some critical thinking skills. The ability to take information. In particular, we're going to talk about how to deal with chemical problems and take data and organize that in a way so you can get the answer that you need, and that way that's associated with a first-year college chemistry course. There was a questionnaire sent to Fortune 500 CEOs, and they asked job skills that they wanted for their new employees to have, and number one listed by 80% of the employers that were questioned said critical thinking. Okay, I mean, that's something that you need to be able to do. How to take some information, organize it, and get out of it what you need to do. So we're going to apply this and look at chemical change and how to look at change occurs and in a logical sequence. And in particular, we want to try to correlate it to the periodic table of elements and what we know about atomic structure and chemical bonding. Some of you may have a good high school chemistry experience. Some of you may have had a little weaker experience. We're going to get everybody at the same level by the time we get out of here. We're going to show how what we understand about chemistry today gives us a good interpretation of the natural laws, and it's a discovery process that we go through with experimentation and the experimental scientific method. Then the other thing that I think is important is that you somehow relate the things that are happening in the world around us, our environment, to what's in the textbook. Okay, so a lot of you are taking this course because you're pre-professional. I want to talk about that in just a moment. And then the last thing is we're trying to get you ready for the next course. For many of you, it's going to be organic chemistry. How many of you are pre-professional? Pre-med, pre-pharmacy, pre-dental, That's typically the majority of the class. The thing I'll tell you about that, this is your foundations course. And what's going to make this is a little bit more of a struggle for you. You take an entrance exam to get in those programs. For medical school, it's called the MCAT. For our dental school, it's called the DAT. For pharmacy school, it's called the PCAT. You're going to take that test in 3 years. Okay, so you've got to learn this material in a way that you can pull it out of the hat in 3 years to take that test. It's not memorization for the moment. Okay, so if your goal is not to memorize a bunch of facts. In fact, it's much the opposite of that. I do very little absolute memorization. I give you all the equations that you have to know. It's applying it, and it's how to think critically and process through stuff. That's what I'm trying to prepare you for. All right, the chapter outline of material, we've kind of standardized this for all of our courses. So I like the old smart boards that just have an eraser you can pick up. This one doesn't work that way. Okay, we have 10 chapters we're going to accomplish this semester, and we're going to go through. So chapters 1 through 10, they're in sequential order in the textbook. And I'll tell you that don't get too bored in chapters 1 and 2, because if you had any kind of reasonable high school chemistry experience, a lot of that's going to be regurgitation, stuff you've seen before. We're going to get to some new stuff you haven't seen, so hang with me. A lot of students think, well, this stuff's so easy in the first couple chapters, I don't need to start studying. You will. We're going to hit things you haven't seen in a high school chemistry experience at this point. But we're going to talk about, this is kind of a standard, everybody in the state has this set of goals that we're trying to accomplish. Now, the textbook is something else that you need. The text that we're using is Chemistry and Molecular Approach by Tillery, or by Troe, sorry, wrong class. By Troe, 4th edition. It's produced by Pearson Publishers, and this is the hard copy of it, what it looks like, and it's been out in press for, this is the 2nd year of it. You can pick a used copy up. The way that it's sold at the bookstore is we're doing an online homework process called Mastering Chemistry. And at the bookstore, the text is bundled as an e-text with Mastering Chemistry. So it's like $150, something like that. If you buy the textbook alone, it's over $300 for the hard copy text from the bookstore. But many schools have adopted e-text. But there's a trend where things are going to be in the future. So the thing with the e-text, if you buy that Mastering Chemistry package, if you feel you have to have a hard copy text, you can either go buy, here's the ISBN number, you can purchase a hard copy text used from somewhere else, much, much cheaper than the new cost in the bookstore. The second thing you can do on that website, it lets you buy a loose leaf paper copy for $30. So you put it in a 3-ring binder. So if you want to touch hard pages or pages to see graphs and stuff and not use notebooks or tablets to go through your notes and study with, that's you're an option to do. The e-text, and I'll show you as we start going through the semester, it actually has a lot of links and tutorials in it. So as you're going through the e-text, it'll have a little video explaining you something, either a real-life concept of something, or it shows you how to work problems, things that are not in the textbook that you won't see on the paper copy. But in one way or another, you have to have access to this Mastering Chemistry. So if you buy it in the bookstore, you get that. If you don't want to use the bookstore, you can go directly to the website, Mastering Chemistry, and I'll give you a link for that down here below where you can get to that. The lab manual, there's not anything to buy. I'll post things to Blackboard on a weekly basis, and you'll print those handouts out before you come to lab. So I make periodic changes to them, and sometimes I make changes the day before we do it. So you'll just print them out before you come. It'll be 2 to 3 pages typically. It's not that much to print out. But again, the big thing is the Mastering Chemistry. Here's the link to it if you don't want to buy it through the bookstore. Remember to mark my highlighter. But if you want to buy it directly from that company, there's their website. It's with the e-text directly, it's $116 if you go through the publisher. And I think it's $150 through the bookstore. That's kind of the markup that there are on all books. If you decide to go directly through the publisher and do it, once you get the code, the way you link it to our course, it's called the course ID. Once you're in Mastering Chemistry, this is the key thing you need. It's Chem 1315 Smith F17 for fall 17. Just if you buy it from the publisher, you're going to have a credit card ready to make the purchase with. Now, the good news is if you don't have the money with you right now, if you go ahead and register it, you get 10 days trial. So you get 10 days free. And then once you get the code, you can put it in and get your continued service. But I warn you, after 10 days, they cut you off. Okay, so if you want to try it, you can try it, but that's available for you. Again, what you buy in the bookstore is bundled with the e-text, so you don't have to buy a hard copy text unless you just you really want one. And if you're a major or you're doing the medical sciences track, you may want to have a hard copy text. That's your choice. Some people like hard copies. Okay, how is your grade going to be calculated in this course? That's important for you to know. Homeworks are something I don't routinely give and take up. So it may be different, especially if you're in high school, to hear something like that. What I'll do is I'll give you problems with each chapter that are suggested problems. There are students that reflect what I think you need to be able to do. And we're going to work a lot of those problems at the end of the chapter and some of the problems that we work in our study sessions on Tuesdays. If I give you a special set of problems, it'll be something you turn in, and I will only give those types of things if I think the class has a weakness. Or if there's some skill set we need to develop that we're not picking up on a daily basis, I may give you 2 or 3 problems to do over the weekend. All right? That's not going to be routinely. The Mastering Chemistry is the way that I do the homework, so it's an online homework basically. So it's something that's linked through Blackboard. I'll go over that in a moment. Those represent 15% of your grade, so they're a heavy component. They're just like some of the problems in the back of the book. I'll go over those more in detail when I look at go over the Blackboard. But those, basically, there's going to be an assignment a week. That's what it's going to come down to. So we'll probably do 13 or 14 assignments over the course of the semester in that. So, and I take the top 80%. I know there's going to be some weeks you get a lot of things going on, and some weeks you've got a lot of time to spend towards this class. So you'll get to drop at least 3, maybe 4, okay, depending on how many assignments we have. What I do daily are clickers. So some of you may have used clickers, some of you may not. So they are something like this. It's called the Student Response System. These are ones produced by Turning. You don't have to buy them. They'll be in the back of the room sitting on that little table. And what will happen on Wednesday when we come in, there'll be a sheet up by that table that's got your name on it. And it'll be a number that's something B at the end. So you find that clicker, it's your clicker. This is the way I know the answer that's put in here is your answer. Okay? So what will happen is we'll go over some material, and then I'm going to assess you on it in class. And I'm going to have anywhere from 2 to 4 clickers a day. I'll bring the question up, hit the start. It means the session is open for you to put your grade in. You'll put your grade in. After the time expires, you can change your answer at any point if you choose. If you think about it, it's more the last one you hit, it's the one it takes. All right, up to the point when I close it. When I close it, it's going to show us a histogram, how many people voted A, B, C, D, and then I'm going to close that out and we're going to go over the right answer. Now, some of the ways that I'm going to give these problems is I've learned that one of the best ways students learn is from each other. I'll let you work it individually first, and then I'm going to say, okay, ask a buddy. And I'll let 2 or 3 of you work together and try to come up with the answer again. Exact same problem. All right, and you're grading on both of them. But the thing I encourage you to do is ask questions of each other. How did you do this? If you're in agreement, and I've had problems 100% of the class, miss the question. Don't be talked out of your right answer because somebody else feels more confident than you are. You're confident you're right. Stick with your guts. Okay? So this is part of the learning process, but even though it seems unawkward because you may not know the person sitting left and right of you immediately, it is a process that enhances learning greatly. And I've got good data to prove that. Okay, this clicker process, that's another 15% of your grade. So doing those, the Mastering Chemistry online is 15%, that's 15%. And again, I know you may have bad days, you may not get to read before you come to class, so we're going to drop 3 of those scores. This is also the way that I monitor attendance. So if you're not showing up to class, you get a 0 for clicker. So basically you get 3 absences before it starts to penalize you. After 3, those zeros are going to start adding up. Okay, and a perfect semester, It's a 16-week semester. We would meet 48 times, but there's some breaks in there, so we'll only meet about 42 times. So you keep in mind that actually 30 times, because this is twice a week that we'll do clickers, only on Mondays and Wednesdays. So we'll meet about 30 times. After 3, it starts to have a negative impact on your grade. The biggest component in your grade are the section exams. So it'll typically be broken into 4 section exams over every it'll be 2 to 2.5 chapters. We may have 3, and typically I'm going to give the labs or the exams during the lab time. So the week that we do an exam, we won't do a lab series. Typically what I do is spend Tuesdays for prep. Okay, we'll do a review on Tuesday, what material is going to be on the exam. Thursday will be the exam time. So you'll have the 2 hours or so to complete the exam. During finals week, we'll take our final exam, which is a comprehensive national exam. It's the American Chemical Society's exam on first semester general chemistry. So we'll take the exam, everybody across the nation assesses this. And one of the reasons we like to do it, we need a measure to see that our faculty teaching our courses. I'm department chair. So part of the thing that I have as department chair is making sure faculty are teaching students what they need to know. We see it in success stories. This year we put 5 students in medical school, 5 students in pharmacy school out of 16 graduates. And that's bumper crop. Okay, that's about as high as we've had in a long time. Part of the reason we've been able to do that is that we've been able to increase our standards of what's in our freshman level courses. Something else you'll learn from it, if you take this exam, you'll get your score back at the end of the year, and I'll tell you where you can see how you scored nationally ranked. If you scored 3% in the nation in freshman chemistry, I can tell you with some certainty you're not pre-med. And I want you to know that as a freshman. Okay, I don't want you to be a 4th-year major and go, I'm not getting into med school, what am I going to do in life? Okay, we want you to understand, and I want you to understand you have to put work in until you get there. We have about 70 kids that are just like yourselves that are enrolled in this same course. Over half of those are pre-professional some way. The majority of them are pre-med. And that's going to trickle down to 5 getting accepted in medical school. Okay, it's not everybody's going to be a doctor. But there are a lot of other things that you can do as well. But we want you to be as prepared as you can going forward. So here's when your exams are going to be, just the exam schedule. And this is going to be pretty set in stone. These are all Thursdays. So the first one's going to be around September the 14th, October the 12th, November the 9th, December the 5th. That one, I think December the 5th is actually on a Tuesday because that's the last week of the traditional semester. And the way that I do tests, if we're in the middle of a chapter, wherever we are when we take that test, that's the materials on the test. We don't always have to finish a chapter up. Okay, we're still going to do the chapter, but the test is going to be over wherever we're at into that point before. All right, the laboratory portion, let me go over that right quick. There's a lab policies and procedure, and I'll show you where that is in a lab syllabus on the blackboard in a few moments. Again, we're typically going to meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the lab. I dropped one lab, so if you have to miss one, whether it be due to a car won't start, couldn't be here, had to go out of town, if it's an athletic event, okay, if it's an athletic event, if it's a documented school activity, and that means if you're an athlete, you've got to get your coach to give you the student activity form, and that's to be signed and distributed to the instructor. We're going to allow you to make that up. And the way that I apply it is that for those of you that are concurrent students, similar thing. Okay, so if you have to miss due to a school activity, we're going to give you an opportunity to make it up. My preference is that you use it for a drop lab. It just depends on how many times you're going to miss in the semester. So everybody gets a drop lab. Mr. Williams, the lab coordinator, if there's 20, 26, or 28 of us in here, and 14 of you miss, and he has to redo 10 different labs, he's a grumpy bear, okay, because he doesn't want to have to redo 10 different preps for the lab. So frequently what he'll do at the end of the year is we're all redoing this lab, and it will replace the one you missed. Okay, so that's the way that we usually deal with that. Okay, so how your overall grade's calculated, 80% of your grade comes from the lecture portion of it. That 80% is 15 for the clickers, 15 for the mastering chemistry, 36 for the exams. and 14 for the final exam, and then that's the 80%, 20 comes from the lab portion. Here's my grading standards: 88% and higher are an A, 76% and higher are a B, 64 and higher is a C, 52 and higher is a D, less than 52% you don't pass the course. I don't round. Whatever your grade is in Blackboard to the decimal place is what your grade is. Okay, I'm showing you the standard you have to meet. It's up to you to get there. Okay, so that's where we're at. Rounding just going to lead to confusion and false expectations. Blackboard's probably going to be a more integral part of this course than most face-to-face courses that you might have had. As I'll show you in a moment, I put a lot of material on Blackboard, as much as I do with an online class. I post announcements for you routinely, and it's going to seem like daily. There's just a lot of information to give out in this course. So I'll post materials all the time. Attendance policies, I just want to define those right quick. This year, the administration is requiring that attendance is reported after the second Friday. So it used to be after the first Friday class. This year it's after the second Friday. But at that time, we have to do what's called certified attendance for every course, and we either have to report you as stopped attending, never attending, or excessive absences. If you get any one of those three, it's going to influence your financial aid. Don't skip the first 2 weeks of class. That's what it comes down to. Okay, so those are times you have to be here. They will hold your financial aid until they establish that you're indeed coming to class. The drop period in the course, which is the last date to withdraw, is November the 15th. If you haven't done 50% of the material in the course or attempted that, I'm going to request that you take class. So if you're not putting any effort into it, I don't want to have to give you an F. All right, so I'm going to request an academic withdrawal or administrative withdrawal. Those are not always granted. It's my right as your instructor to request those for if you're not even going to try enough, I don't want you in here. That's what it comes down to. You got to put an effort in. Right? And if something's going on, life situations happen, you may need a withdrawal from the class. You may need to have to get an I. I understand that. This is my 23rd year teaching. I've seen a lot of it. So if things happen, just be in contact with me. Be in discussion. Let me know what's going on. All right, so makeup exams. The only way that I'll do a makeup exam is it has to be an excused absence. So you have to let me know in advance you're not going to be there for the test. The way that we do tests is my pet peeve is I'm going to give the exams back to you the next day. So if we take a test on Thursday in lab period, the next time we're going to meet is going to be on Monday. But on Monday, I'm going to give you that test back here. Once I give that test back, nobody's taking it. So if you're going to make that test up that you missed due to whatever activity, it has to be made up before class period. So you can take it Monday morning if you want. But on Monday at 11:30, once I hand that test back to the rest of the class, you can't make it up. Okay, so that's my hard rule. Now, if for some reason you're out of town, I may delay giving the test back to the class. I don't like to do that. As a student, I think your best time to review material and understand what you missed as soon as after you took the test as possible. So I want to give the test back to you. I'll set up, I told my other class, I met with this morning, if I set up to 3 o'clock in the morning and grade exams, I've done it 100 times before. I'm giving you a test back next day, or the next class for you. I want you to have the test back the next day. That's just my policy. I get frustrated by faculty members who set on exams for a month or more and don't give it back to you. And if you have that case, you should talk to the chair of that department and ask that your materials be given back to you. All right, late assignments, everything that we turn in is going to be due a specific date and time. The Mastering Chemistry, it's an electronic submission. So what happens is you receive a penalty for each day that's late. So typically when an assignment's due, you lose 15% of the grade per day per late. So if you wait 7 days or so, you pretty much lost all the points. But if you don't get it finished that day, you can do 70% of it, 60% of it. You can do some partial of it, get full credit for the partial, and then you go back and do the other problems at partial or with a late penalty, and you can still get most of the credit from it. After anything else submitted after the date gets a 0. So we have a schedule. We're going to work with that schedule of things. All right, here's one that's kind of a stickler, and this is not so much as me as enforcing this as it's the final exam. The calculator you have to use has to be a non-programmable calculator. So the TI 80s and 90s that some of you may use very, very efficiently, graphing calculators that have a ton of functions in them, the final exam we're taking at the end of the year that doesn't allow any programmable calculators. So I want you to get used to using the non-programmable. Now, if you don't have anything now but a programmable, I'll allow you to use it on the test. Okay? But you need to be in the habit. You don't want to pick this up for the final exam be the first time you use the calculator. I mean, I love this TI-30. Okay? It's TI-30XA. It's a 25-year-old model. Right? I buy them wherever I find them rusting on shelves because it's the only calculator I know how to use all the functions on. I know how to do every button on this thing because it's been my calculator for 30 years. There are at least a dozen different TI-30s now. Every one of them has a different way that you enter things into it. And you've got to get comfortable with the calculator that you use. You're going to see when I give you material back, even on this first exam, math broke. You write the problem out right, and you do something wrong on the order of operations in your calculator, or you misentered a number. Okay, and it's a small penalty. Usually I just take off a point if you do something like that on a 6-point problem. But it's learning how to use your calculator. And I mean, that seems, I know how to do my calculator. You see how proficient you are. Okay, when you start doing a lot of calculations, things get tougher, especially when you start using parentheses, raising things to powers, taking logs, etc. All right. Now, pet peeve. I only got one particular one in here. Put your cell phones up. Don't put them in your lap. Every faculty member, when you put your phone in your lap and your text on, every faculty member knows you're doing it. Okay, so leave your cell phones. You just don't get them out. To me, they're a major distraction. I'm looking at every one of your faces while I'm doing the discussion. I'm trying to look at you as much as I can to see, do you have the lost look? Do you understand look? The deer in the headlight look? What's going on? I mean, it's my feedback. Do I need to talk more about this subject or not? Okay, so put your phone up and keep it put up. If I catch you texting, I'll usually give you a warning, put your phone up, and then the second time, I'm going to actually leave the class. Okay? That's my rules, my class. Phones are not going to be a distraction here for us. And the things I'll tell you is that there are some people that have to have a cell phone available. I've had firemen, ambulance drivers that have to have a phone or a pager available. I've had 3 bursts in class in 23 years. When I say that, twice the husband called from the wife meeting at the hospital. We're having a baby. The other time, the mom went into labor in my class. So we have all situations kind of occur. So you certainly can have a phone times like that. So if there's a medical reason, if somebody's sick, the only thing I tell you is that if you have to have your phone, have it on silent. And if you have to take a call, turn it on, walk outside and start talking. Okay. If you need to get up and go to the bathroom, you can bring food in here. I don't care. That's fine with me. If you spill it, clean it up. That's all I'm going to ask. And the other thing is buzz your table. Don't leave a mess on the table. These are the only. We've got this room and another room next door that we just renovated last year, and these are the only ones that don't have the old fixed desks. I mean, all the rooms used to have little desks that were literally, they weren't even the larger ones that sat individually. They were tiny. And I'm left-handed. Those are all right-handed. So if you're left-handed, you're right down here in the air because there's nothing underneath here. It sucks, but that's the way it was. But these are comfy chairs as well. So, but we just got this room done in the fall, last fall, so we're happy with it. All right. So some expectations that we have. If you ask me a question, I should give you a timely response, and every instructor should. And that also includes posting assignments as well as grading those. My office hours are available. You'll see them at the end of the syllabus. Every faculty member is required to have 10 office hours a week that you can come in and ask us questions. I've got, I think, 14 hours posted. But anytime my door is open, it's Science 210 on the second floor, you can come in and ask me a question. All right. If I can't spend long with you, I'll tell you. I can just spend a few minutes. But I encourage you to talk to your instructors. All right. You're paying us a lot of money. I know exactly what it costs. I just got my son's tuition. Okay. And I'm just ordered all the books in from Amazon. And we did the Amazon on the books for his classes. And based on buying it at the bookstore, we saved $380 for 4 classes. Well, you can save a lot of money. And $380, if it's not your money, you may not care. But if it is your money, $380 is a lot of McDonald's. Okay. Say again? Where's your son going to school? Southwestern. Scholarship Southwestern. So he's pre-pharmacy. My policy is that I'm always going to get back to you in 24 hours if you send me an email. If I haven't, as department chair, I'll get 150 emails a day. Send me another email. I've inadvertently missed it, or my junk email folder has filtered it and it's put it. Sometimes if I don't respond to an email, open it quick enough, it says that's junk email and it sorts it for me. Send me another email. And I apologize if I hadn't, but almost always I've got an email on my phone. I'll look at it typically every hour. I'll reply back to you as quick as I can. Okay, so if it's with 24 hours, I've missed it. So don't feel bad about sending me, hey, I asked you this question. Can you let me know? Now, on the other side of that coin, I expect you to do your own work. Even if it's an activity that's a group project, you need to contribute. If I feel that you're cheating, and the hard thing on these clickers is when we answer them the first time, I'm expecting you to do your work on yourself. Right? I have no way to document you didn't look at the person next to you. The way I'll know is when you do the exams. Okay, so if you completely duplicate somebody's answer on the exams and you duplicate a mistake the way that's typically it's most easy to see. A lot of times when we take the exams, if the room downstairs is open, we'll go into a room that's got cameras. So if there's any question on whether or not you were looking at somebody else's stuff, that's the reason we use that room. Okay, so S202 downstairs. You need to do your assignments by the due date. If you're having problems, I'm expecting to challenge you in this course, but if you have problems, you need to ask for help. You can ask me. There also will be tutors available for this class. So they'll meet in the library downstairs in Science 214, and they'll probably be there 3 times a week. So once I get their hours, they don't cost you anything. They're part of those fees that they pile on top of you. Right, but I expect you to read the chapter assignments, to review the notes that we're doing in class, certainly to do the clicker assessments that we're doing. You need to do your mastering chemistry, your exams, and the laboratory experience. If you don't do those parts, you're not going to get what you need. And again, it's some of this is a 1,000 level course, a freshman level course, but it's one of the tougher ones. Okay, the critical thinking is a different aspect than some of you have experienced yet in other college classes, especially if you've just taken only Gen Ed courses. If you've taken majors classes already, you may have experienced some tougher classes where there's a demand on critical thinking. I just want to get you used to, or let you understand that I have a high expectation for you. Communications, you need to be looking at Blackboard daily, checking email, and I send your Southeastern email. Every announcement I put on Blackboard, I also check the box. You get the email. Okay, so you may see a duplicate. So you may want to filter my emails out. I don't care. That's your option. I do want you to use your Southeastern student email. If you want to put on that sheet, if you want to put a personal email on there that's a Gmail or a Yahoo account or something like that, that's fine. Because if I need to get in touch with you, I want the best way to get in touch with you. But all of these routine announcements are going to come at your Southeastern student email that you've got. Okay. The privacy policies for the university is listed here. You can click on that hyperlink. So if you open this up, the electronic copy on Blackboard, I'll show you that in a second. You can click directly on the link. You don't have to type that out. The academic integrity policy is listed in our student handbook. If you have a documented disability, it's your responsibility to contact the Office of Compliance and Safety in the administration building. Tell them your need, and they will arrange that we meet that need. Also, if there's an issue with equity or discrimination, you should contact Mr. Mike Davis. He's our Director of Compliance. If you have minor health problems, you can contact Health Services in the second floor of the administration building, and they also have a counseling center that's available. And the building with the columns on them that not many people knows what it is, called the library. You may want to go to the library occasionally. All right, here's my office hours, so you can have a copy of that to look at. They're posted outside of my door. So on the office hours, the green is my office hours of when I'm available. So Tuesdays and Thursday mornings are my big times, but every morning before I start my other classes, and then Tuesday and Thursday afternoons as well, and then for a little bit on Friday afternoons. Every day it's in red, so when I'm teaching, blue is when I have meetings or I'm doing lab prep. Right, just important things in the schedule. So classes, of course, begin today. The last day to add or drop a class is on the 25th, Friday. We have a holiday coming up in just a couple of weeks. September the 4th is Labor Day. Fall break is October the 19th and 20th. The last day to drop the course with a W is November the 15th. Thanksgiving holiday is November the 22nd through 24th. And yes, we will meet during deer season. And finals week is December the 11th through 15th. All right, so the last page is where I need you to get some information and put it in there. So after you sign that, just put it up here on the last table where these other syllabus are on the way out, so you don't have to do it yet. Okay, so I'm going to spend a few minutes now and talk about the layout of the course and some information that's available on Blackboard. So, thing I'll tell you is I post a lot of information. So the first thing you have is your course homepage on Blackboard. It'll tell you when some things are going to be. Because we're not doing much electronic submission, the due date section of it, this section here, is not really active. And I don't think the Mastering Chemistry even links to it when the Mastering Chemistry assignments are due. I'm not sure on that. We'll see how that works. The Mastering Chemistry we're using this year, last year was our first year to pilot it, and it was a rough start. It's integrated with Blackboard this year, and it's supposed to be a little smoother. We'll see how it works. So all the announcements you have, so you should have got one email from me, and I know many of you have went and looked at the course already because you've already applied to the discussion board. I'll show you that in a moment where I ask you to introduce yourself. So you have announcements here, so you'll be seeing things from me at least a couple of times a week popping up here. The course information tab, here's a copy of the syllabus. I expect you to lose the hard copy, or you can go find the electronic copy at any time. Here's some instructions for how to access the Mastering Chemistry. So once you get the access code, or even without the access code, you can go in here and start this to get your 10 days for free. So you're going to do that. Some little information about me. I understand exactly what it's like to be in your shoes because I graduated from here. So I graduated in, we'll just say the 80s, okay, a long time ago. I did a major in chemistry with minor in physics and math. I changed my major 3 times in undergraduate. And the day I graduated, I didn't know for sure what I was going to do. I thought I wanted it to be pharmacy until I went and worked with a pharmacist for a couple weekends. Then I thought I wanted to do chemical engineering. And then I thought I was doing physical chemistry. And the time I went to graduate school, once I graduated, I interviewed for 2 jobs, was offered both of those jobs, and I had to decide whether to go ahead and take a job, bachelor's degree, or go to graduate school. I had no clue what I would do. Right? I'm a first-generation college student. Not my parents, my brother didn't go to school. Not only them, nobody in my immediate family in Southeast Oklahoma went to college. I had no idea what college was about. It was a learning curve for me. I graduated from here and went to graduate school at Oklahoma State. I graduated from Oklahoma State and went to Monsanto Corporate Research in St. Louis. I worked there for 2 years and joined the faculty here in '95. And I've been department chair for 7 years. I published about 20 papers. I did about $3 million in grant money. Published or presented at over 100 conferences. Now I'm swinging because instead of doing research in the lab, most of my research I'm doing is in the classroom. So I'm learning new ways of education. New to me anyway. Okay, so here's some things that you need. Chapter notes. What I want you to do is pay attention in class, not try to do dialogue, writing down as quick as you can. So if you want the PowerPoints, you can click on the PowerPoint file and you'll see almost the same PowerPoints that we're going over in class. The thing that's a little different is that when I made those notes, it was for a narrow screen, and this is a widescreen TV, so they're going to be stretched out a little bit. Everything's on the same page, they're just organized a little bit differently. There are going to be some examples. They're not going to be on the notes that I'm going to put in class, and there's going to be clicker questions that are, of course, not going to be in your notes. You can print those out, open them up, and okay. You'll see this first chapter just on 87 pages. Okay, don't print out 87 pages. If you want to print these out from PowerPoint, go to print, go 6 per page. They'll still be at 6 per page, big enough that you can read the font when you print that out. And I would tell you, don't waste the color, print your grayscale. Put them in black and white. Color ink's expensive if you've got a color printer. If you got a color laser printer, it's really expensive if you're buying cartridges. The other way that you can get the materials printed is I've already put them in a PDF, which sometimes is a lot easier for you to load. So now they're already in that form. You just open up the PDF and print. Okay, so that's the notes that are available. The lab handouts are available for you as well. There's a lab write-up guidelines. We'll go over that when we do go over our first lab and stuff tomorrow, and talk about some introduction things tomorrow. I give you the old exams, so if you want to know what my tests are like, here they are. All right, so I'll give you an example of last year's. Here's the exam, what my tests look like. There are 25 questions, multiple choice. There are 6 questions at the end that are completion calculation problems that are free form. You have to work out the entire problem. You have to show your work. And the ones at the end are graded a lot heavier than the 25 multiple choice, so they're about 1/3 of the test. The multiple choice is about 2/3. I also give you the answers to them. So if you want to see what the scores were or the correct answers, so I give you the correct answers to multiple choice, I work out the solutions and the others. So you have, I've only been teaching general chemistry, kind of a weird twist. The first 15 years I taught here, I never taught anything but 3,000, 4,000 questions. So I never had a freshman class. I only saw the upper level students. Kind of a new experience for me to teach freshmen and understanding what you know and where you're at. So I've got about 7 years worth of materials in here that you can take a look at. Okay, there'll be study guides posted as exams come due. I'll give you a 1-page sheet on what you can try to do or can use. All right, to get to the e-text, it's here, and when you're logged on, you'll click on the Pearson e-text and you get the account created. If you haven't linked that up yet, it's not going to go to it, but I'll just show you what the e-text looks like right quick. All right, so every chapter is set up by chapter. You change the chapters by going to the table of contents, and then you can go to any other chapter that's there. Also with the chapters, you can look at if you just want to go to the questions at the end, you can go to the problems by topic or whatever they are. You can view the questions. You can, once you learn how to do your e-text, you can highlight, you can write notes, you can do anything else you would in a normal text. How many of you used e-text in high school? Had a net notebook or a netbook? If you're Durant, you did, I know, because in Durant High School, my son didn't use a hard copy textbook since the 6th grade. They're nothing but e-text. That's the trend, whether your school adapted it or not, that's what everybody's going to. Okay, so here's the other things that are going to be available for you. Like after today's lectures are recorded, it's going to be in here. So it's a YouTube video. So it'll look something like, it'll be just a video you can click on, blow it up, and you can play it on your tablets, your iPhones, Android devices, computers, whatever. And it streams based on the type of connection you have, so it may cut out the video quality a little bit, but the sound will still be pretty good. So that's available for you. The other thing I have for you is I've got some videos for doing the Mastering Chemistry, so if you're stuck on a problem, you can ask me a question. I've already got questions from a couple from last year put in here, but these are like the other videos in class. You click on it, launch it, and then once you launch it, you go full scale with it. This is probably going to, the speaker's turned off, be loud.
This problem that was,
so I'll go through and I'll
chapter 1
show you how to work the problem, the exact same problem you're doing, maybe different things on it, but I'll set up on how you set up and do the math in the problem. I'm writing on a tablet.
to the 15th femtoseconds.
What I'm trying to do is give you every resource I can for you to succeed. I've literally got 200 hours of videos on here already for you. All right, so anything that you're having a problem with on these Mastering Chemistry, you ask me a question, I'll work with you. The end of the chapter problems that we're going to do on Tuesdays, we'll record all there, and they're available as review.
Sorry.
Okay, great syllabus. So we're almost done for the day. But all right, the other thing I want you to do is, if you haven't done so yet, go into the discussion board and go into the introductions. And I ask you to put a couple sentences about yourself. Okay, where you're from, what your major is, what's your classification. That's good enough. Just so your other classmates know who our class is going to be composed of. It looks like 15 of you have done it out of the 26 of us that are in the class. So most of you are already on the roll there. Okay, so nothing on the discussion boards is graded. The thing that if you send me a question, an email that says, how do you do this? I don't understand this. I'll copy that question and post it here in the discussion boards. I'll take your name out of it. I'm not going to identify who you are, but I'm going to let everybody else know the answer too. Okay, so I'm trying to use Blackboard as much as I can as a resource for you. And again, I'm presenting a lot of stuff. It's not necessary for you to look at, but I'm trying to give you the tools you need to succeed in this course. Okay, does anybody have any questions? All right, so tomorrow we're doing, you don't have to have lab safety glasses tomorrow. Yes, you do. If you have glasses already, bring them. If you don't have them, you can purchase them from the department secretary for $10. And we have 6 different styles, different glasses, fit your eyes differently. Like here's ones that I like to have adjustable side pieces. The big thing on your safety glasses, they have to have side splash protection. They need to hit front, top, and bottom pretty well. Here's a different style. This particular style doesn't fit my face well. Too much gap here. Okay. Different people have different shaped faces. That's the reason we have 6 different styles. All the ones we sell for $10 are anti-fog. And when you're wear your glasses for a couple hours straight, you don't want them fogging over. So, but you can buy glasses from bookstore, Walmart, wherever. You just have to have a set of safety glasses that are available. And you're going to have those on every lab period. But if we do check-in, and I don't know if the lab manager has the lab ready for check-in tomorrow, we're at least going to do our safety overview, which is some films, and do a little safety quiz. That's what we'll be doing tomorrow. Okay? So bring lab glasses if you have them. If you don't, we might have to get a longer set for you. All right, any other questions? Okay, so if you want to see the eclipse, it's already started. We're set out in front of the student union. If you want to go look through some eclipse classes, look through those.